Hare Krishna, everybody. Good morning. So today we will be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter number 31, verse number 12. And then we'll get started with our invocation prayers. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. So, for the last couple of days and weeks, we've been discussing from the third canto, specifically chapter number 31, which is titled as Lord Kapila's Instructions on the Movements of the Living Entities. And starting with the how the soul actually enters the womb of the mother. So today I will be discussing verse number 12. Let me share my screen. Jantaruvacha tasyopasanam avitum jagad ichayata nanatanor chalacharanaravindam soham brajami sharanam hi akuta bhayame yene drishi gatir adrashiyasato nurupa jantur jantaruvacha tasyopasanam avitum jagad ichayata नानातनोर्भुवि चलच्चरणारविन्दं सोऽहं व्रजमि शरणं हि अकूतभयं मे येने दृशिर्गतिरदृश्य असथोऽनुरूपा जन्तरुवाच तस्योपसनम् अवितुं जगदिच्छयता नानातनोर्भुवि चलच्चरणारविन्दं सोऽहं व्रजामि शरणं हि अकूतभयं मे येने दृशि गतिर adrishya sato nurupa. Word to word meanings. Jantu uvacha, the human soul says, Tasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Upasannam, having approached for protection. Avitum, to protect. Jagat, the universe. Ichchaya, by his own will. Athanan tanoha, who accepts various forms. Bhuvi, on the earth. Chalat, walking. Charana Aravindam, the lotus feet. Saha Aham, I myself. Vrajami, go. Sharanam, unto the shelter. He, indeed. Akuta Bhayam, giving relief from all fear. Me, for me. Yena, by whom? Idrishi, such. Gatihi, condition of life. Adrishi was considered. Asataha, impious. Anurupa, befitting. Translation. The human soul says, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in his various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life, which is just befitting my impious activities. I'll read the translation once again. The human soul says, I take shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in his various eternal forms and walks on the surface of the world. I take shelter of him only because he can give me relief from all fear, and from him I have received this condition of life which is just befitting my impious activities. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word Chalach Charanara Vindam refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who actually walks or travels upon the surface of the world. For example, Lord Ramachandra actually walked on the surface of the world, and Lord Krishna also walked just like an ordinary man. The prayer is therefore offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead who descends to the surface of this earth or any part of this universe for the protection of the pious and the destruction of the impious. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that there is an increase of irreligion. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that when there is an increase of irreligion and discrepancies arise in the real religious activities, the Supreme Lord comes to protect the pious and kill the impious. This verse indicates Lord Krishna. Another significant point in this verse is that the Lord comes itchaya by his own will. As Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. I appear at my will by my internal potency. He is not forced to come by the laws of material nature. It is stated here, Itchaya. He does not assume any form, as the impersonalists think, because he comes as at his own will, and the form in which he descends is his eternal form. The Supreme Lord puts the living entities into the condition of horrible existence. As the Supreme Lord puts the living entity into the condition of horrible existence, he can also deliver him. And therefore, one should seek shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna demands, give up everything and surrender unto me. And it is also said in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who approaches him does not come back to accept a form in material existence, but goes back to Godhead, back home, never to return. So, again, as we continue our discussions here, here is this is the prayer of the soul in the womb of the mother. And in this particular verse, and the purport particularly, Srila Prabhupada is contrasting um, the the appearance of the Supreme Lord in the material world versus the appearance of the spirit soul in this material world. The appearance of the Supreme Lord is according to the will of the Supreme Lord. And the form that the Supreme Lord takes is based on the will of the Supreme Lord. Whereas for the jivas, the appearance in this material world, there is guna and karma that both dictate the what kind of a body is being presented to the jiva. And the body is presented to the jiva by the material energy, by the material energy of Krishna. I don't have the ability to dictate what body I should get um, in my next birth. It's dependent on my guna and my karma, the consciousness that I have cultivated in this lifetime, and the activities how I've executed my life in this lifetime. So, uh, a- and then there are special jivas, like we heard how Shukadev Goswami has appeared into this material world. And Shukadev Goswami was in the womb of his mother for 16 years. and refused to come out. And after much pleading by his father, Srila Vyasadeva, did Shukadev Goswami uh, come out, and then immediately um, ran into the walk towards the forest, and then we had his father run behind him. So that is, of course, a superlative example. Another good example that I can think of is the appearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, um, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. Um, when we do our Acharya's pranam prayers, we refer to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. So, as there was a lot of uh, let's say, incorrect or perverted uh, um practices of bhakti that was sprouting, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, with his earnest prayers, uh, prayed for Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And the life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, if you see, was single focused. He wasn't wavering on either side. He was for pure Shuddha Bhakti, and he executed his life in that way. He didn't really tolerate any nonsense. He was very very mission focused. The mission for which he arrived. That is not the case for us, right? We are not necessarily in that mission oriented way. So this the second theme that I wanted to talk about is forgetfulness of misery, and we've also discussed this in the previous couple of days. Um, so the the jiva, as it is in this particular verse, the jiva, or the soul is praying very earnestly, is that now that I'm in this very precarious situation, dear Lord, I want to take shelter of the lotus feet of your lotus feet. Um, and then we find that in our lives, this forgetfulness of misery is quite prominent. Uh, when we are in a miserable situation, we tend to take shelter. And of course, people who are familiar with Krishna consciousness or are spiritually inclined may be inclined to take shelter, from a spiritual perspective. And then people who don't have that spiritual understanding may seek shelter in some other ways. Could be seek shelter in friends or family, or in some activities, maybe alcohol or drugs, or or go travel, or whatever be that. So we when we are in a miserable solution situation, we tend to take shelter, and that shelter depends on where we have faith, and where we have knowledge of. Depending on our knowledge, we take that shelter. And then as soon as that misery passes away, because again, misery, time is a good healer. And as the misery passes away, we forget about that misery. And this forgetfulness actually starts right from the womb. In the womb, we are in a very miserable situation. In that desperate, miserable situation in the womb, where we are um, coped up in a curled position with an environment that is not necessarily very conducive. Um, the soul has a desperate plea to the Supreme Lord, and as soon as the soul comes into the material world, out of the womb, then on the forgetfulness starts. And then as we grow, we have incidences where there are calamities in our lives, at which time we take shelter of Krishna, we take shelter of devotees, we take shelter of relatives, we take various it could be the positive or even negative shelters. And then as soon as it is passed, then we are back to status quo. We just forget that seriousness, and then we start to coast. So this forgetfulness um, is also uh, propelled by the impersonalistic consciousness that is part of the material world. So the default position in the material world is impersonalism, and uh, as we try to um, coast through this material life, we tend to not associate the things around us with Krishna. When I ask the question, why do we feel that Krishna cannot provide the pleasures, comfort, or security that I seek in the material world? The answer to that is impersonalism. At the end of the day, I don't truly believe in Krishna as a person, and in that, I don't believe that he can provide me with the comfort and the security and the peace that I desire, and hence I seek this um, security and uh, pleasures and comfort in things outside of Krishna. It's subconsciously. That's the default mode that I operate in, and many of us operate in. And so, there's actually Varsana reminded me of a really nice joke as pertains to impersonalists. So, an impersonalist meets a personalist and a devotee. So, an impersonalist meets a devotee, and the impersonalist says, "Soham," um, right? So, aham, I'm that. And then the devotee adds a da to it. So he says, dasoham. So I am your servant. And then the impersonalist adds a sa prefix to the dasoham. So he says, sada soham. I am always that. And then the devotee adds a da as a prefix to that. Dasa dasoham. I'm a servant of the servant of the servant. So anyway, the the uh, the perspectives of a devotee and the perspectives of someone who is in the material world, and by default, the nature of the material world is conditioning oneself to be an impersonalist, is quite different. And which is why we have these constant reminders. Like we, every single verse, in the Srimad Bhagavatam that we've read about, talks about the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, talks about the position of the soul, and what is the duty or the relationship of the soul and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every single verse. And uh, why do we need this repetition? Because we are forgetful. The forgetfulness is extreme. And so we have these daily Srimad Bhagavatam classes where we um, remind us, we ground ourselves on what the reality is before we embark into the duties, the various duties that each of us have within the material world. Again, daily chanting on the beads, um, daily association with the devotees, associating with Krishna through prasadam. So again, these are daily reinforcements that we need because we are extremely forgetful. I also wanted to, uh, spend maybe the next couple of minutes on a very appropriate prayer from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it's called Bulia Tomare. Now, I'm not going to sing it, but I will read the translation and actually also read the purport that Srila Prabhupada has so nicely given. First, the translation for Bulia Tamare. This is from Sharanagati by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I forsook, I forsake you. O Lord, and came to this world of pain and sorrow. Now I submit my tale of woe at your lotus feet. While still in the unbearable fetters of my mother's womb, I saw you before me. I saw you before me. You revealed yourself, but briefly, and then abandoned this poor servant of yours. At that moment, I swore to worship you after taking birth. But birth came, and with it, the network of worldly illusion, which robbed me of all good sense. As a fondled son in the lap of relatives, I passed my time smiling and laughing. My parents' affection helped me to forget the pangs of birth, and I thought the world was very nice. Day by day, I grew and soon began playing with other boys. Shortly, my powers of understanding emerged. I read and studied my lessons incessantly. Traveling from place to place, proud of my education, I grew wealthy and maintained my family with undivided attention. Oh Lord, Hari, I forget you. I forgot you. Now, in old age, Bhakti Vinod is sad. He weeps. I failed to worship you, O Lord, and instead passed my life in vain. What will be my fate now? So, again, it seems like the story of my life. And here, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur takes a very, very humble position and is essentially teaching us through these wonderful prayers. I'll read the purport by um, Srila Prabhupada because it is just so appropriate, and I don't want to add my twist to it. This is a song sung by Bhaktivinoda Thakur as the surrendering process. We have heard so much about surrender. So here are some of the songs how one can make surrender. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Buliya tomare samsare ashiya. My dear Lord, I have come to this material world by forgetting Lord. And since I have come here, I have suffered so many troubles since long, long time through different species of life. So therefore, I have come to surrender unto you and submit unto you the story of my sufferings. First thing is that I have to live within the womb of my mother. Janini Jadare Chilama Jakona. When I was there, compact, packed, up in an airtight bag, hands and legs, I was staying within the womb of my mother. At that time, I had a glimpse of you. After that time, I could not see you. At that time, I could see you a glimpse. At that time, I thought, Thakona Bhavinu Janamapaya. I thought that this time, when I get out of the womb, I shall surely engage sent person in the service of the Lord, worshipping the Lord. No more this repetition of birth and death. It is so troublesome. Now I shall engage this birth. I shall Now I shall engage this birth. I shall engage myself simply on devotional service to get out of this Maya. But unfortunately, exactly after my birth, Janama hoilu padi, Maya jale, na hoilo jana lava. As soon as I got out of the womb, immediately Maya, the illusory energy, captured me, and I forgot that I was in such a precarious condition. And I was crying and praying to the Lord that this time I shall get out and engage myself in devotional service. But all these senses were lost as soon as I took my birth. Then the next stage is Adarera, Chele, Swajanera Kole. Then I became a very pet child, and everyone is taking me on the lap. And I thought, life is very nice. Everybody loves me. Then I thought, this material life is very good. Adrere, Chele, Swajanere Kole, Hesia Katanu Kala. Because there is no trouble, as soon as I'm little difficulty, everyone comes forward to give me relief. So I thought my life will go on like this. So I simply wasted my time simply by smiling, and that smiling became attractive to my relatives and they patted me. I thought, this is life. Janaki, Janaka Janani Snehete Bulia Samsara Lagilo. At that time, a great deal of affection of parents. So I thought, material life is very nice. Krame Dina Dina, Balaka Hoya, Kelinu Balaka Saha. Then gradually I grew up and I began to play with my childhood friends. and it was very nice life. After some days, when I was little intelligent, then I was put into school. So I began to study very seriously. Then after that, Vidyara Gaurave Brahmi Deshe Deshe Dhana Uparjana Kori. Then being puffed up, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a magistrate. So he was transferred from one place to another. He is stating his life that Vidyara Gaurave, because I was little educated, so I was posted and I was earning decently. So I was thinking, it is very nice. Vidyara Gaurave Brahmi Deshe Deshe Dhana Upar Jana Kori. Swajana Palana Kori Eke Mane. And only duty was to maintain, how to raise family members, how to keep them happy. That became my only aim and object of life. Bhardaya, Bhardaya ke ekona Bhakti Vinoda. Now Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, in his old age, Kandiya Katara Ati. Now I am seeing that I will have to give up all of this arrangement. I will have to go away and take another body. Therefore, I do not know what kind of body I am going to get. Therefore, I am crying. I am very much aggrieved. Bhadhakye ekona bhakti vinoda kandiya katara ati. I am very much aggrieved. Na bhajiya tore dina bhrata gelo ekona ki. So without worshipping you, without serving you, I have simply wasted my time in this way. I do not know what to do. Therefore, I surrender. So, with this, I will stop here. And then, again, this is a great, great reminder from actually, as I was preparing for the Srimad Bhagavatam class, I also got, uh, I don't want to call a random message from my Guru Maharaj, but let me see if I can pull that up. And it was so nice that even that message was along the very same line of what I'm talking about here. And this is actually a prayer from Srila Raghunath Goswami in his Rajavilasa Stava, wherein the message that Guru Maharaj sent me was, I am scorched by the blazing forest fire of old age, deeply bitten by the poisonous snake of spiritual blindness, pierced by the sharp arrows of forced dependence on others, and surrounded by the lions of anger, lust, and greed. O Lord Krishna, please give me the nectarian portion of pure love for you, which will make me strong and heroic enough to resist all enemies and constantly engage in your pure, unalloyed devotional service without deviation. So, um, again, a lot of reminders. Krishna reminds us through Srimad Bhagavatam, through his words here, through devotees, association, through the spiritual master. And the reminder is always coming to us in various shapes and forms. And if that is not enough, there is material nature that is giving us a knock at every step, reminding us that this material world is not a place to feel comfortable in. And the real shelter, real place of comfort is in service to Sri Krishna. So, with that, I'll stop and then take any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandat pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for repeating wonderful messages and also for picking this bhajan and reading the translation and purport. So beautiful. Thank you so much. It reminds me like I wanted to share. A couple of years ago, while I was uh, taking up the service of doing the bhajans, teaching bhajans for the summer camp. And I was thinking, this bhajan, oh, we did this year. That bhajan, almost every bhajans were like, I was what to do. And then Sripati just picked this bhajan, Buliye Tumara. I've never heard that before. I've never read that bhajan also. He said, Amma just picked this bhajan. I said, like, why did you pick that bhajan? He said, the translation is amazing. We picked this bhajan just for the translation. I don't know. I checked YouTube and then picked some tune and then I taught the kids. But what to say is like more than the tune or whatever it is, the translation was amazing. And thank you so much for reminding. After that, I didn't even read that bhajan. Read the translation. When you were reading it, I was like, recalling the memories. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And thank you for bringing up nice points. And at the end, you said, like, how Krishna is sending all our Siksha Gurus or Diksha Guru to remind us constantly. Yesterday, Gopal Hari Prabhu's class, he was mentioning that, devotees take up even the critical situation as a blessing of Krishna. Krishna sends the calamities, and he was quoting Queen Kunti and others, Prahlad Maharaj, to remind us, like, um, this place is like that. And at the same time, Krishna is also so kind enough for the devotees. He sends the calamities, and also he sends, our acharyas, our teachers, to constantly remind us, to take deep shelter. I remember during our bad situation, I don't want to even say bad situation, maybe a good situation for us. Our Guru Maharaj wrote to me that, this is the time you take straight deep shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Maybe for a common man, it may think like, what sort of situation I am in, and you're saying, take deep shelter. But
Mm.
for us, as a practicing devotee, that gives the immense strength to overcome the situation. So, at least for me, I need that constant reminders, constant messages. It's not that something what you spoke is the first time I'm hearing. No, we have been hearing the same messages. But for me, I need the constant reminders. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Again, very inspiring, and I know that um, your what you and your family have been doing, and it's very encouraging, and you're a model of inspiration for many people in the community. So thank you so much. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. I was going to say that the purport of Srila Prabhupada was just so wonderful. Not that his other purports aren't, but this point about repetition and our situation is such that just we are so forgetful. You and I were talking the other day that how certain in the past certain calamities, how we don't even remember them anymore. Those. Uh, it almost seemed like, yeah, it was taken care of. Oh yeah, it's a bed of life is bed of roses. But uh, anything that comes, any disturbance that comes in our life should be viewed that Krishna is giving us another reminder. How can I strengthen my faith? How can I strengthen my practices? How can I strengthen my service? That is how we need to view. So that's my takeaway from today's class.
Thank you so much, Usama.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much. As Jyotirmay Mataji and Sana Mataji was telling, yesterday also we were hearing this yesterday only, right? Yeah, Gopal Hari Prabhu was talking about how living entity prays in the womb now, right? And also when we go through some suffering, right? Generally, I mean, you also touched upon, right? So generally, the attachment to the Lord or the remembrance of the Lord will increase, or the but then as soon as that gets over, I mean, it's unfortunately that the living entity forgets. I was thinking, I mean, how I mean, it's very, very. I mean, you mentioned actually one other point how we don't believe in the Lord, that all the things that we want to get through this material life doesn't happen through the Lord, or He doesn't give it to us because we have that impersonal subconsciously we have that impersonal tendency that yeah, Lord is not a person, or I mean that the same things cannot come through Him, right? I mean, of course, he's the sanctioner. I mean, philosophical we all know, but I think it's very, very deeply rooted that impersonal tendencies, I think, exist within many of us, right? I mean, so I don't know if that could be one of the reason that we kind of forget. I mean, when those challenges are coming, and then of course we try to see that as a person because only person can help. But then as soon as that gets over, and we don't. we don't remember. I mean, it's very, very uh, difficult situation. Of course, this song you translation that you read is very pictorially depicted, right? I mean, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the life of
Yep.
a person. So it's very nice.
Yeah, Bhakti Vinod Thakur is our emblem for a lot of grihastas. Uh,
Mhm.
so very nicely. Such an elevated personality, but he takes such an humble position to teach us um, through his very heart touching, heart piercing prayers. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Lakshmikant Prabhu.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I probably shared this maybe a day or two ago that there is also, I mean, this forgetfulness is, we again talking about the impact, the negative impacts of forgetfulness, right? Or the fact that we are forgetful of our nature, our position of forgetful of the various miseries, forgetful of the fact that this is dukkhalyam shashvatam, like this is by design, designed for misery. And also mama maya durateya, my Krishna's material energy is extremely difficult to overcome. And there are also positive aspects of these forgetfulness, that in the sense that some of these forgetfulness can help us propel ourselves and move forward and to me, just today as I was thinking more about it, like, so we have the negatives of forgetfulness and we have the positives of forgetfulness. And then what is the thing that actually then will propel us forward? And then to me it became very clear that this forgetfulness that we have, um, yes, it can impact us moving forward. It can also propel us to move forward. And the in between path here is the daily sadhana. And if the daily sadhana is not strong or is not in place, then it is guaranteed that this forgetfulness will even if even the positive or the negative, irrespective, um, will further incriminate us in this material world, and we will feel a lot more miserable. So there's this constant association with Shastras through Srimad Bhagavatam, constant association of Krishna through the holy name. These are, this is our time that we have to carve out in order to constantly remind us about the precarious situation that we are in. Because once that, hearing and chanting period is done, then on, we are so immersed in our material activities. And at that point, it is very difficult and challenging to um, create a wedge between I'm doing this as a duty versus I'm so involved in it because I'm a manager, or I'm a mother or a teacher or whatever be that. We get so into our roles, into our upadhis, that uh, it's it's uh, it's not easy to distinguish um, or discriminate between our upadhis and what our true natures are. So for the time that we have earmarked for connecting with Krishna and for reminding us, at least my takeaway is that I should put more efforts for in the time that I have to remember Krishna, let me remember Krishna, because I don't know what happens after that. After that, I'm in the material energy, and the material energy tosses me left, right, and center. But then I know that next day morning, I have to again connect with Krishna. And the deep prayer is that with this constant connectivity with Krishna and the Shastras and sadhus and gurus instructions, we can finally, get over, or through, not we, but Krishna will kindly help us get over this material entanglement. So again, thank you all very much, and wish you all a wonderful rest of your day and a strong sadhana. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.